Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
Imagine standing atop the Alps, the icy winds biting into your skin as you gaze down upon the vast lands of Italy, knowing that you, a foreign general, are on the verge of bringing Rome, the world's mightiest empire, to its knees. This was the reality of Hannibal Barca, a name that struck terror into Roman hearts and remains one of the most enigmatic figures in history. Yet, for centuries, his true identity has been shrouded in controversy, often depicted as anything but what historical evidence suggests he may have been, a black Carthaginian general whose genius nearly reshaped the ancient world. Hannibal was not just another military commander. He was a revolutionary tactician, a strategic mastermind, and a warrior whose legacy still influences military studies today. But who was Hannibal Barca, and what was the true story behind the man who dared to defy Rome? Hannibal was born in 247 BCE in Carthage, modern-day Tunisia, a North African city that stood as Rome's greatest rival. Carthage, founded by the Phoenicians, was a dominant maritime power, controlling trade routes across the Mediterranean. The city's population was a mixture of indigenous Berbers, Phoenicians, and other African peoples, making it a melting pot of cultures and ethnicities. Hannibal's father, Hamilcar Barca, was a formidable general who instilled in his son an undying hatred for Rome. According to historical accounts, Hamilcar made young Hannibal swear an oath to never befriend Rome and to dedicate his life to its destruction. One of the most intriguing and hotly debated aspects of Hannibal's identity is his racial and ethnic background. Ancient depictions and descriptions of Carthaginians suggest that they had strong African influences, and some historical interpretations argue that Hannibal himself may have had sub-Saharan African ancestry. His surname, Barca, means lightning in Punic, a Semitic language spoken in Carthage, and his family was known for their warrior prowess. Hannibal's military campaigns, particularly during the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BCE, are among the most studied in military history. His tactical brilliance was evident from the start. When Rome declared war on Carthage, Hannibal took an audacious and unexpected route. He led his army, including war elephants, through Spain, across the Pyrenees, through the treacherous Alps, and into Italy. This feat alone was astonishing. Crossing the Alps was considered nearly impossible, yet Hannibal not only succeeded but did so with an army that remained battle-ready. Once in Italy, Hannibal delivered one crushing defeat after another to the Romans. The Battle of Trebia in 218 BC saw him outmaneuver and decimate a much larger Roman force. The following year, at Lake Trasimene, he orchestrated one of the largest ambushes in military history, annihilating another Roman army. But his crowning achievement came in 216 BCE at the Battle of Cannae, where he executed a double envelopment tactic that surrounded and annihilated nearly 50,000 Roman soldiers. To this day, Cannae is studied in military academies as a textbook example of tactical brilliance. For nearly 15 years, Hannibal roamed Italy, undefeated on the battlefield. Rome, unable to match his military genius, resorted to attrition warfare. They refused to engage Hannibal directly, and instead focused on cutting off his supplies and attacking his allies. Despite his brilliance, Hannibal lacked the full support of Carthage's government, which failed to send him reinforcements when he needed them most. Rome's counteroffensive was spearheaded by Publius Cornelius Scipio, later known as Scipio Africanus, who took the fight to Carthage's territories. In 204 BCE, Scipio invaded North Africa, forcing Hannibal to return home. The decisive battle came in 202 BCE at Zama, where Hannibal faced Scipio. This time, the Romans adapted to Hannibal's tactics, and with superior cavalry and reinforcements from the Median allies, Scipio emerged victorious. Carthage, once a mighty empire, was reduced to a shadow of its former self, and Hannibal's dreams of Rome's destruction were crushed. Despite his defeat, Hannibal remained a legend. Fearing his influence, Rome pursued him relentlessly. He fled to the court of the Seleucid Empire and later to Bithynia, where he continued advising foreign rulers on military strategy. However, knowing that he would eventually be captured, Hannibal took his own life around 183 BCE, reportedly by poison, to avoid falling into Roman hands. Hannibal's legacy as one of history's greatest generals is undisputed, but his identity remains a topic of debate. Ancient Carthage was a diverse society with African, Phoenician, and Mediterranean influences, and some scholars argue that the historical whitewashing of Hannibal's image was part of a broader pattern of erasing Africa's contributions to world history. The fact remains that Hannibal Barca was a North African general who nearly brought Rome to its knees, and his story deserves to be told in its fullest and most accurate form. Hannibal's military strategies continue to be studied in military academies worldwide. His tactics, particularly at Cannae, have influenced countless military leaders, from Napoleon to modern strategists. But beyond the battlefield, Hannibal represents resistance, resilience, and the power of ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. The story of Hannibal Barca is not just the tale of a brilliant general, but also one of lost history, cultural erasure, and the complexities of identity. He was a man who defied the greatest empire of his time, shook the foundations of Rome, and left a legacy that still echoes through history. His life is a testament to the power of determination, intelligence, and leadership. While Rome ultimately emerged victorious, Hannibal's name remains etched in history as the general who nearly brought the empire to its knees. His story deserves to be remembered in its full depth, recognizing both his African heritage and his unparalleled military genius.